Greetings, beloved. Michelle Wadley here in my second episode of Impact, a podcast designed to support the spiritually minded, the metaphysically minded, and those who are searching and seeking. My name is Michelle. I am a lifelong metaphysician. My spiritual leanings are Science of Mind and the Centers for Spiritual Living. Although my experience and my influences are many from many different things. And I'm here to love you, inspire you, lift you to the best that I can. I'm not here to try to be a TikTok sensation. I'm not here to try to be some famous influencer. I'm here to be mother like, godmother like, aunt like, teacher like, elder that brings wisdom based on decades of trial and error, lots of failings, lots of things that I've learned from. Each episode is designed to give you some very practical tools and yet some inspiration and information that'll benefit your beingness. I will bring you the some things that it might sound to you like gimmicks, but they are practices from many decades of application in my life and in the lives of many people that I know. So today's episode, I want to focus on a author and a book that is the book I'm going to be offering tomorrow night in the Cultivating the Consciousness of Healing series. And I've really decided that I like bringing to you the wisdom of these other authors. So many of my episodes, not only the ones that I'm teaching, but many of the episodes are going to be wisdom that I've gleaned from different places. I'm primarily going to focus on teachings and influences that are metaphysical and based on principle. I'm not going to be giving you the feedback just on a book just because it's popular. Okay, if I think it works, if it has value, has had value for me, I want you to have that too. So that's what we'll be doing, at least in these first episodes of this podcast. And so today, the book I want to talk about is Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard was born in 1905 in Barbados. He was known as a mystic and a lecturer and a teacher. And he was pretty amazing in my mind. He was influenced by a teacher called Abdullah, and I don't have more information about him at this time, except that it was loosely based on esoteric Christianity and ancient mystical traditions. The thing about Neville Goddard, and normally people just think of him as Neville, it wasn't until a couple of years ago we actually started using his last name. He and his books, which are small books, and his teachings are alive today, still selling, still being taught, still being quoted. And that was without social media, without all the stuff we have today. And I tell you that so you can hopefully appreciate that when there's profound wisdom at last, face it, the Bible, 2,000 years later, right? So the importance of this book, and it is loosely based on a lot of um, but esoteric Christianity. So if you decide to buy the book and read it, that's great. In the printed material that I've given you, that's in the podcast, I give you a recording of the entire book. It's in the public domain, which means that no one owns it anymore and anyone can print it. So there are numerous copies of it out there in paper. And one of the ones that I recommend I also have in this book, and it's one that was also published by my publisher. And it's a really great, it's a really great copy. Actually, the picture of it will be there in the podcast, and I wrote the foreword for it. Excuse me, and I'm excited that I was asked to write the foreword because the science of emotions are something that's very important to someone who does the work that I do, working with people through forgiveness, through shadow work. And boy, have I come to learn that people don't really know what shadow work is. So maybe I'll do a whole episode on that alone. But the importance of emotions and feelings and I emotions are things that you experience, and there's energy behind them. So we emote, okay? There's a fine line, or there's some fine tuning to understanding emotions and their value and how to use them. For example, we have emotions, we have feelings, and they're real, and we want to honor them, but we don't want them determining our life. Sounds kind of contradictory, right? Well, here's the difference. If I have a feeling reaction, I can be pretty clear that my feeling reaction is a reaction to something, a seed within me, within my emotional body, or within my consciousness, that is a reaction to something earlier in my life. And when anything outside my life reflects or seems similar, I have a similar reaction. So what I want to do is I want to pay attention to that reaction, but not think of it as my authority. Okay, so that's the more spiritual, psychological side of things. But when you want to demonstrate something new in your life, when you want to activate good, when you want to cultivate a new way of being, learning how to um, project and to what's the word? Getting stuck with the word here. Learning how to cultivate an emotion that supports your heart's desire. It's very important. So, in other words, you say you want to increase your personal abundance. You want to increase abundance in your life. It is absolutely critical that you learn how to focus your attention through your thinking and then through your heart until you feel it in your body temple. Because if you can't feel it, you can't have it. We demonstrate our lives not by just something that we're thinking, but our beingness. And Neville makes this point brilliantly. We must project our beingness and trust that if something's showing up in our lives, it must be alive in our consciousness. So we don't want to criticize ourselves or criticize our life. We simply want to say, that must be in me. That must be in me. That's the way to handle it. That's the way to handle it. Because anything else, any amount of beating yourself up or criticizing yourself is not going to get you where you want to be. Now, this one thing I have been teaching for years, the two most fertile times for co-creation in your life is right before you go to sleep and right after you wake up. It's the time when your mind is most malleable. It's the time where messages can come from your desire and into your being the easiest. So, having said that, please, and you probably have parents or grandparents who told you, don't go to bed mad. Because I'm not sure why they said that. I don't know what they thought. However, the science behind it is this: the thought, the feeling that we go to sleep on moves into our subconscious, gets activated and grown and fed support and energy in our subconscious. So if you go to bed bitching, moaning, complaining, and whining about your life, you're going to get more of that. You need to go to sleep with an idea and a feeling that cultivates, oh, life is good and life is filled with joy and I'm worthy and I'm wonderful. I know it sounds silly. However, this is how we activate the law. And then when you wake up in the morning, the very first thing you want to do in the morning, and I'm not going to go too deep into this, but there are some teachers out there, instructors that will give you very specific guidelines of what to do in that first thing in the morning. To me, you want to make sure your first thing are practices where you are in gratitude, where you are appreciating your day. If you pray, that's the moment to do it. Project into the day what you're expecting, but in a powerful way. As I know this day is good and glorious, and I fully accept the love that is here for me, the abundance that's here for me, whatever that is. But I want to make sense of this one to one more degree. I'm having a lot of emotions right now about what's going on in many parts of the world and in many parts of the country. Even as I turn my attention to it, I could immediately start crying. I am feeling profound grief, sadness, yeah, about what's happening in Gaza with the hunger, what's happening in the detention centers, what's happening with our children, what's happening with these farm workers that have, oh my God, it's so funny. I survived because I choose not to always pay attention to it during the day when I'm trying to function, but my emotions are there. So they're there. However, I do also want to manage them, and that might sound so intellectual or, like it's just a thinking thing. But what I know is I don't want to give more power to it. While I'm feeling this profound grief and sadness, mostly what I want to do is I want to return to a idea of hope, an idea of possibility. I want to keep believing that people like you and I can influence others, that we can help to raise the consciousness of those who are making these decisions. And I don't want to do it through condemnation, because anything I condemn, I have to live with. You have to live with. So what I want to do is while I acknowledge what I'm feeling, and I am feeling it, what I want to do is cultivate a belief that the collective consciousness of those of us who are seeking to make change, that we can penetrate the lives, the consciousness, the spiritual essence of those who have this influence. And I left either a blog or a podcast a while ago, a short one, saying I do believe there's some hope, and I do, but we're needed more. Hope is not quite enough at this time. It's not. We need hope and action. We need faith and action. We need truth and action. And action, you have to figure that out for yourself, whether it's giving money, whether it's volunteering, whether it's writing to your congressmen and your representatives, whatever that is. But what matters is that you, even while you're doing that work, I want you to allow yourself to feel that something great is possible. Something new is possible. Something better is possible. because it is only through that that we can then that we can lift ourselves and lift others. Yeah, that's what I want to leave you with, except for this mind shift that I want to offer you. And you can call it many things. I'm calling it a mind shift. Let us know together that there is a power, a presence, and love that ebbs and flows and moves and has its being in each and every one of us. Let us know together that we are powerful enough to keep our emotions uplifted and optimistic enough to reach into the hearts and the minds of the decision makers. Let us accept the power that we are. Let us allow ourselves to use our feelings and our emotions to make a difference. Let us do this with love. Let us do it with compassion. Let us be the one. I am so incredibly grateful. And with a bounty of gratitude, I release this word to love, to law, and to the very awe of life itself. I'll see you soon. Be well. Thanks.